We've recently introduced a new feature called FitCheck to ReApply, and I just want to take a minute to show you around and show you how it works. So you probably noticed on your dashboard you have this new FitChecks item here. And if we go ahead and click into this, this is where your FitCheck history will eventually live. But since you don't have any, it's giving you instructions how to get started with FitCheck. What FitCheck basically is a Chrome extension that you can use on any job site, any job ad, to compare against any one of your ReApply resumes to get a fit score in seconds. Now in ReApply, you can have up to 10 resumes that you're using for your applications, and the FitCheck Chrome extension allows you to use whichever of those resumes that you want to. The best one to pick is the one that's the most general, that is the most applicable to the jobs that you are applying for, because this is what FitCheck will use. However, in the extension, you can change which resume you're using every time you run a FitCheck. So the first step, assuming you have one or more resumes in the system, is to install the Chrome extension, which there's a link right here from the FitCheck history screen. And then once that's installed, you'll need to pull up your extensions here, and then probably a good idea to go ahead and pin the FitCheck extension just to make it easier to use as you're browsing job sites. So once you got that done, you'll need to go ahead and sign in with your ReApply account. I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, great. Now that I'm signed in, I can go ahead and run FitChecks. So it's going to ask me, because I have multiple resumes in the system, which one that I want to use. So I'll just choose the appropriate one for this particular job. And now we're ready to go ahead and analyze it. Again, when you're running FitChecks, you can always change which one of your resumes you're using to compare it against. And then when you run the analysis, that will be the one that it uses. So I'll go ahead and do a FitCheck now. All right, so that's done, and that's returned a score for me. So let's talk a little bit more about what's actually happening here. So you can see it automatically pulled in the company name as well as the job title. And so the score is broken down here based on where I match and where my gaps might actually be with this job. Now, 92 is a very high score because FitCheck is built to be honest. It won't kind of overestimate your fit with things, but at the same time, it doesn't underestimate your fit with things. Is that FitCheck is smart enough to be able to pull out the requirements as well as the preferences for any job. Not only that, it's smart enough to know the difference between a hard requirement and a soft requirement, a preference and an ideal or a nice to have, and then it scores those items appropriately. So as you can see, it's broken down where I happen to match, and then it shows me these gaps here, which were all fairly minor to moderate, which is why it didn't penalize me all that much. And then it gives me a paragraph summary at the bottom here. Now this is handy for ReApply users. If I wanted to go ahead and create an application, I can do that by just clicking this Create Application button, and then all of the elements from this job ad will automatically be populated into a new application. Well, again, FitCheck is built to be honest, and the scores aren't always quite that high. So let's look at a different job that looks on the surface to be very similar, but we're going to see a very different score. So I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so that's done, and that's given me a lower score for presumably the same job. Why? Well, I have a lot of the similar matches here, but it's picked up on the fact that I actually don't have critical requirements, hard requirements for this job. This job spells out very specific things and very specific experience, which I don't actually happen to have any of. So instead of seeing a score in the 90s, now I'm seeing a score in the 70s. And again, the gaps here really tell the story of what's going on with this. And then it also has a summary here at the bottom that tells me where its score actually came from. Now from the bottom links here, this is obvious what this does. You can get into your ReApply dashboard, or you can get into the resumes you have stored in the system. But if we click into the dashboard, now we have a history of FitChecks, and we can click into here, and you can see, I can see my history of FitChecks. That entire summary is saved here, and then I can, revert back to these whenever I want. And then also, if I decide later I want to create an application from any of these, then there's simple one-click access, which does the same thing. It'll populate all of the job details into a new application. New users get 100 FitChecks for free to start. Paid users receive unlimited FitChecks. FitCheck. Fit scores in seconds from any job website.